It's time to unstuff my TBR again. Hi friends, welcome back to Pages and Chaos, and welcome to another Unstuff Your TBR vlog. So this is a series run by Beccie at Bex Reads, and every other month, based off of a theme, Beccie, me, Lisa, and Monica all participate. Based off of the theme, we pick books off of our TBR or our e-readers or whatever our TBR is, and we try to read as many as possible from that theme. And this month is Lisa's birthday, so she got to pick the theme, and we are going to try to read books with cursive, either on the cover, on the spines, or in the book somewhere, like maybe with a letter or something like that. And I'm actually excited about this because this is a little bit of a challenge. I have a lot of books here, and I am curious to see what books I have that actually have either cursive on the cover or in the spines. I don't know how many I'm going to get done for this vlog, but I do know which one I'm going to start with. So the first book that I'm going to start with is West with Giraffes. This has been on my TBR for a long time. I actually won it from a giveaway from Krista at Books and Jams. And as you can see, there is this cursive on the cover. I also did like a quick flip through, and there's some areas in the book, like this postcard, where there's some cursive throughout the story. So I'm going to start with this one. And West with Giraffes by Linda Rutledge is a fictional story that is based on true events about these giraffes that survived a hurricane being transported from Europe to the Atlantic, and they're on their way to the San Diego Zoo. And this is from Woodrow Wilson Nichols' point of view. So it says here at age 105, he is going to tell the story about his experience on trying to get his way from this hurricane that happened across the Atlantic, and these giraffes having to make their way to the San Diego Zoo. I think it says it takes place across 12 days, but the thing is, this happened during 1938, so we are at the heart of the Depression. They have to make their way across the country during the Dust Bowl. Hitler has invaded over in Europe. So we got a lot going on here, and I'm excited to read this. Like I said, this has been on my TBR for a while, and this was the first one that I picked up that I said, you know what, I think it's time to read this. So this is a perfect start to this vlog. So this is the one that I'm going to start with. Once I'm done with this, we'll see what other books I could pick up that have script either on the cover or within the story. Well, good morning. It is Monday, and I have my coffee here. It's about 10 o'clock. I got a little bit of a late start today, but I am about to sit down and have my coffee and start reading West with Giraffes. I wanted to start it yesterday, but unfortunately, I had a lot going on. So I'm going to start with this. I don't know how much I'm going to get to right now because I do have a lot to do today. So I do have the audio. When I go out, I'll throw the audio on. I have to bring Nugget to the vet. We got to do some checkup on some health things, and hopefully everything will be okay. I also have 2 assignments that are due tomorrow that I have to finish. So I'm going to be working on that a little bit later today. But for right now, I'm going to enjoy my coffee, and I'm going to get started on reading West with Giraffes. Was the first page, which was the telegram and news reports from September 23rd, 1938. Now remember, this is based off of true events. So it's a fictionalized story, but this actually happened. I want to cry already. Like, obviously, I know that they make it out of the hurricane, but just the way they described it, that because the ship was going down in the hurricane, obviously, like, the crewmen had to abandon ship. They were rescued, but they had no choice but to abandon the crates of the giraffes. I am an animal person through and through. I need to know before I watch any movie or read any book that involves animals, if they make it. I know that there's like a website to check that for movies. I don't know if there is one for books. So that already just Guys, I have a feeling this is going to be emotional. I don't know. I read Water for Elephants a long time ago about, the treatment of the animals and of and I mean, it's going to be hard. I hope that there's not as many like horrible situations. I do know that there were some trigger warnings on, I think, Storygraph or maybe Fable, that does say that there is some animal abuse. So we're gonna see if I can make it through this. And yeah, I'm just gonna keep going. I will check in after I read a little bit, and we'll see how I feel about this. I read, I think, the first 2 chapters of Westwood Giraffes. I'm about to head out to take Nugget to the vet, so I'll probably listen to another chapter or so. I think I'm gonna get emotional. So right off the bat, we kind of have, I guess, 3 sort of timelines. I don't know. So we start off with Woodrow Wilson Nichols passing. He was in a home, I think, yeah, I don't know. He was in either like a nursing home or assisted living home, and he passes. So the first prologue is the nurse or somebody, I think like from the veterans, because I think he was a veteran and he served in the war, going to like collect his stuff because he doesn't have family. And she opens, or they open, I don't know if it says a she, but they open up the locker, and immediately she finds these notes that he wrote about his story. And then we have immediately going into the start of each chapter and the end of each chapter, at least so far, I mean, it's just the 2 chapters, is what he wrote down, but then like the chapter itself is the actual story. So I don't know, if we're going to get any more like from the actual like letters in terms of like the point of view from the person reading the letters until the end. I don't know. But anyway, I think this is going to be enjoyable, but also emotional. Obviously, 1938, much different time, looking at animals through a lens of usefulness and things like that. So things are being said, and, it's making me a little upset. But there are, I checked Fable. I didn't really check anything else, but Fable does say that there's animal abuse in here. So I don't know how much, I don't know how deep it's going to go. And I'm hoping that it's something that isn't so devastating. But yeah, so we have the giraffes on their way. They have just started their trip on their way west to California. So we'll see how that turns out. All right, excuse the fact that my washer's going on in the background. But it's been a couple of days. I am just past chapter 3, but like they're long chapters. So I'm about 100 pages in, and I don't like the audio. I was listening to the audio this morning while I was doing some cleaning, put some laundry in, doing the bathroom, things like that. It's definitely a lot more descriptive, and I just don't like the tone of voice of the audio narrator. So I'm going to continue to read this with my eyes. I know it's been a few days since I checked in. I don't really have a lot more to say right now because it's still the beginning. I've had a lot going on the last few days with schoolwork, and I have 2 more final projects left. But Woody just has been following the giraffes. They're still in New Jersey, and he just got the attention of the grumpy old driver and saying, like, I need your help. Well, the driver needs help because, well, the caretaker lost the driver. So now Woody's trying to get the job as the driver to go across to California. I am going to read for a little while longer. I am working, the reason why I look like a mess is because I am working outside today. I'm going to be ripping out old bushes in the front of my house and redoing them because the big snowstorm back in February basically pushed them all forward and destroyed like the trunk, so I can't push them back up. And honestly, they've been there for about 8 years. They were very high maintenance, so that's what I'm going to be working on today. So my dad's coming over to help with that. So I don't know how much more I'm going to get read physically, the chapters are getting long. Like the chapters are over 20 pages long, and I don't like that. So this is going to take me a little bit longer, I think, to get through. Not a lot of interaction with the giraffes, other than like, you know, seeing how they're doing on the ride, and they're talking about how like the necks are just like sticking out of the top of the back of the truck, and they're bouncing back and forth and things like that. So I'm curious to see, once we get on our way across country, what kind of things are going to come up. Well, we made it just in time for all the rain. I am disgusting. Those are all the bags. There's about 4 bags of the bush, and it's raining. I do have to say, the rain, it was drizzling while me, my mom, and my dad were pulling all the bushes and the roots out. It was drizzling and it felt nice. It was humid, but it wasn't hot, so that was good. But now it's pouring, and we finished right before the rain. So I'm gonna go shower, and I think I'm gonna sit and I'm gonna read, and we'll see how much more I can get done. But yeah, that was easier than I thought, but I'm glad it's done. So a little bit of an update. West with Giraffes is taking me a little bit longer to get into. I'm not liking the long chapters, or I mean, I don't know if they're considered long chapters. For me, 20 pages plus in one chapter is long. When, I mean, it's not too long, but it's long when it's very descriptive. And that's what this is. We're hearing this story through Woodrow's, they call him Woody in the book, experience, right? So he's literally talking about everything as he's writing it down, and he's telling his story, but it is very, very detailed. I am not at the point where I want to DNF it, because we barely have gotten started. We're on chapter 5. Like I said, I think last time I checked in, I was maybe almost 100 pages in. Now I'm about 100 pages in, and we're still not even like on our way to California. Woody that has basically convinced, I forget what they call him. I forget his name. The guy who's in charge of transporting. I think his name is Richard, maybe. I don't even know. I keep forgetting what his name is. But anyway, so he finally convinced the guy that's in charge of the giraffes to let him drive the rig, but he's only driving him to DC so that he can get a proper truck driver to go all the way to California. Getting a lot of, oh, we passed this person and we passed this and got something to eat, and everyone's crowding around the giraffes, and oh, they were featured in the newspaper, but not a lot of the actual story yet. So I don't know. I'm going to continue to read it, but I am going to pick up another book, but I'm going to take a little bit of a different spin with this book. So I have been doing, and I've become obsessed with these like murder mystery puzzle books. So this one's Murduku, which is like Sudoku. So if you've ever done that. I think Nugget found a bug and he can't get to it. I don't know. And Myrtle. So these are basically, it's a whole murder mystery. And you have all of these different puzzles, and you're trying to figure out who did it, and this one's who the killer. So I have gone down a rabbit hole of finding all of these different kinds of murder mystery puzzle books. So I found one that I thought was cool that is based on, it's a cozy mystery. And I have read this author before. She does like little novellas. Her cozy mysteries are short. Probably like less than 200 pages. So I found one when I was on my hunt and went down my rabbit hole. And this is where you help solve the mystery through word searches. So each part of the story, so each chapter of the story, they're very short, but each chapter of the story has an accompanying word search to go with it. And this one is A Cranberry Creek Word Search Mystery, Murder Among the Stacks by Rosie A. Point. And like I said, I've read some of her stuff before. They are very cute, short novellas. So I think I'm going to do this one. And you could see among the stacks here is cursive or script. I don't know if there's anything else throughout the book that's in script or cursive, whatever you call it. I grew up calling it Cursive. But anyway, so yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to take a little bit of a different turn here. So it says, the cozy mystery meets the word search fun in this perfect killer combo. This interactive whodunit blends all of the charm of a small town mystery with 50 clever word searches to help you solve the case. So settle in with your favorite blanket, a warm drink, and maybe a cat or two. We already got Misty here. And uncover the secrets among the stacks. Abby Jones has it all figured out. Moving to Cranberry Creek will give her a fresh start she needs, from opening her brand new bookstore on Main Street to learning to love her busybody landlady, Myrna, to spending time on her favorite cozy hobby, word searches. Abby has her hands full. But when famous author mysteriously murdered at Abby's bookstore's opening event, Abby's new future is at stake. It is up to Abby, with the help of some new friends, including you, meaning the reader, to piece together the clues and catch the killer. So that should be fun. And we'll see. I will give you my thoughts as I go through this. Obviously, I'm not going to spoil it in case you want to do this yourself. But yeah, and it looks like she has a whole cozy mystery series that is this word search. So it looks like the next one after this, Murder by Muffin. I'm wondering if it's following a different person or if it's like the same person, like, regular cozy mysteries. And then the next one is Murder Before I Do. And they're all Cozy Creek. So I'm going to get started with that, and let's see what I get done. Okay, so already this seems pretty fun. So obviously you have your typical word search directions, up, down, sideways, whatever. And then when you get to the final puzzle, so after you read the chapters, you arrive at Solve It. And you'll do the word search, but then you're going to look at the letters that remain unused in the row. I guess it'll, when we get there, tell you what row. And then you got to unscramble it. So that's fun. And then I got a map here of Cranberry Creek. So we'll see. And then it says to make notes of any suspicious behavior in the margins. Any ideas that you have, keep a record in the margin notes. So that's going to be fun. So let's see what we get. And I'll see how many chapters I can get through. Obviously, the chapter itself is short, but it's going to take a little bit longer because you have to actually solve the puzzle. So that's going to be fun. But I'm going to get started with chapter 1 and we'll see what happens. Okay, I'm going to do a little check-in here. I'm not sure I'm enjoying the word search part of this. It's not like Murdoku or Myrtle where you're solving the actual mystery and then moving on to the next little blurb that has to do with the new mystery. This is literally just you reading and then you're doing a word search based off of the things that you just read about so far. There is a point where it does say you read a certain amount of chapters and then you have to solve the word search to get some clues. And it'll say solve it. So what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to skip doing the word searches for now. I can always go back to them, but honestly, I really thought the word searches at this point, would have something to do with what I would need to know for, the next chapter or something. So, being that it's such a short novella, and it's, just, straightforward, I think I'm just going to read it, and then when I get to the solve it, then I'll do the word search and go from there, because I feel otherwise, this is going to take me forever. But, it's your typical cozy mystery, which I really think is cute. Like I said, I do enjoy Rosie Point. You have a cat. He's orange. So I love that already. His full name, so they call him Reggie. But I just love that the opening thing is saying about the cat. His name is Sir Reginald Caddington III. I always love that. But anyway, yeah. So I'm just going to read it and we'll go from there. Good morning. It's a little bit of a later start than I wanted to today. But I am heading out. I am going to throw on the audiobook. I'm going to switch back to West with Giraffes. Hopefully I can actually finish this in time. I'm still feeling right now it's not a lot of excitement. So I don't know. I'm not really sure if that's what this whole thing is going to be. But I feel like I'm reading and reading and reading, and I'm still only 8 chapters. But I'm gonna throw in the audio while I'm driving. I have some Amazon returns, I have to drop off some Pango sales, so a bunch of like, you know, boring errands. Nothing fun today. But anyway, I'm gonna go do that. I'm gonna listen to some more of the audio. I think by the end of today, I will decide if this is a book that I am going to continue or possibly DNF. As far as the cute little cozy mystery, I'm gonna read that later when I get home. It's just gonna be a quick read. I feel like, you know, it's just your typical like cozy fantasy, not cozy fantasy. Ooh, it's just like your typical cozy mystery. But being that I'm not having such a productive month, I'm gonna go onto my e-reader. I'm gonna go through my my Kindle app, my Barnes and Noble app, and I'm gonna see if there's anything else that fits the script on the prompt from like, you know, all of these Unstuff or Stuff Your Kindle days, whatever, and see if I can get at least one more book in. I feel like it's been a little bit unproductive, but also because I have a lot going on with my final assignments. I got like a week left of classes and then I am done and I will officially have a master's in library and information science. So that's where I am. I just got to the point where they're heading out west now. We got some more interaction with Red, the photographer, and Woody. Nothing really yet other than like an actual discussion from the first time that they saw each other when he was hiding out. The old man is growing on me though. I gotta go back and see what his name is because he doesn't use names. With the exception of like 1 or 2 people in the like nursing home, he calls everybody like by a nickname. So Red is the photographer. I think her name is Augusta. I gotta look back. It's Augusta. I forget what the caretaker's name is. I want to say like Richard, but I keep forgetting because he only mentioned it like twice. And he just keeps calling him the old man. The Giraffes are boy and girl, but I think that's just because they don't have names. Even like the orderlies, when we're back in, when he's like writing down the story, he calls them boy, girl, whatever. So I don't know what the deal is with that. I don't know if it's just his way of when he's writing because he's 100 years old and he can't remember, or if that's just his personality. I don't know. But I do kind of like, in terms of the audio, the fact that the narrator is the same voice. So it's this old man. I don't know if the narrator himself is old, but I'm just saying, like, you get the feeling that it is an older man, I think it's like 102 or 101-year-old man writing down his story, and he's narrating it. Because like at one point we got to a point where he was talking about something and then it just stops like mid-sentence and he goes, "You just interrupted my sentence," because he got interrupted while he was writing. So I do kind of like that. But I just don't know if the story itself is keeping my interest. There's not a lot going on. Like I was hoping to get captured in the excitement right away, and I'm not getting that. So I am going to continue, but like I said, by the end of today, I will decide if I'm going to continue with this or maybe try to find like just another quick read and do that. But anyway, I'm going to head out, go do my errands, and see how much more I can listen to and if I'm enjoying it. Hi friends, I am back. I finished my book. I also finished the little novella. And I think that's where I'm going to leave it for this vlog. I am struggling. I think I'm in a little bit of a slump. But I'm also doing catch-up-a-thon, which started a few days ago. So not only do I feel like I'm in a slump, I'm also just very overwhelmed between schoolwork, and I think that has a lot to do with my mindset. So I think I'm just going to leave it at these 2 books, and I'm not going to pick up anything else. I do not think that any of my books that I'm reading for catch-up-a-thon has any type of script or cursive on the cover, or as far as I know in the text. If I pick up one before I post, then maybe I'll just add it on and let you know my thoughts. But as of right now, I'm going to end with these 2. Quick little recap of West with Giraffes. This is a fictional telling of a true story of these giraffes that were caught in a hurricane, and they survived, and now they have to make their way from New York all the way to California to the San Diego Zoo. And this is based on a true story that really happened, and this is through Woody Woodrow Nicholson, that's his name, point of view. And the ending of this was so emotional. Who it turns out that he's writing this all down for, I mean, I kind of figured, but it just like really made it really nice of an ending. I feel like this was way too long or way too descriptive. I don't know if too long, but it's just like there were so many points where it was just describing the same thing over and over and over. The trip, the fact that he feels guilty for lying to you know, the oh my god, I keep forgetting his name. It's a lot. It's a lot of unnecessary descriptions. There's a lot of animal abuse in here as well, especially because of the time period, and we're dealing with the circuses that, you know, existed at that time. You know, there's a point where we come across this person who's running like an animal show, so to speak, and it's sad and it's emotional. When we find out Woody's story of how he ended up leaving his farm in Texas, going to Cuz, and then leaving there, that also was really, that hit me. That was upsetting. I really thought that this could have been a lot better. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't my favorite. So I landed on probably 3. I do want to like look into the actual story. I didn't read the author's note yet though. I usually do that right away, and I didn't get a chance to. But it does tell the historical notes about the zoo lady, the person at the San Diego Zoo who becomes the first woman in charge, all of the different people involved in the ads and the newspapers. There's a lot of information. There's a little blurb about the Great Hurricane, the real hurricane, the Giraffes, the Hoovervilles. So there's a lot of historical stuff in here. So I do want to go back and read the author's notes about the historical accuracy of this and see, you know, what inspired the actual story. But yeah, that's where I am on this. As far as the situation with Red, I feel like her character, she didn't get a lot of character development. It's not until like towards the end that we find out more about her story. She's kind of just this woman that keeps showing up. And I would have liked to have known a little bit more about that and seen a little bit more character development for her, just because of what role she ends up playing in this story later on. Not my favorite, but also it was a good story. I just feel like it was dragging on and very repetitive and descriptive in all the wrong spots. Now, my other book that I decided to pick up was this little novella. I like Rosie A. Point's little mystery novellas, her cozy mysteries. I have a whole bunch of ebooks of her cozy mysteries, and I expected a little bit more from this. This was not exactly what I thought, and I think there were quite a few people who felt the same way when I looked at the reviews. People thought, and I thought, that completing the word searches actually had, you know, clues in them, something to do with the story. And they didn't until you get to the last one. Well, not the last one, there's a few more after, but where you get to the one where you have to figure out who the killer is. Other than that, this was just a very short, not even as long as her normal cozy mysteries, because each chapter was only like a page long. So while the book itself is 110, so really the story is only about 50 pages. It was okay. It was cute. It was adorable. Not much, you know, I know like we get a lot more cozy mysteries throughout the series, but I'm not going to read the series. I'm not a huge fan of doing crosswords like that every single page. It really wasn't enough for me to say, hey, I'm going to finish this. I did like the cat though. Reggie, the cat, he's orange. He's adorable. He was kind of like, you know, there was a point where Reggie, you know, is very adamant about his behavior. If you know anything about cats, you know that they pick up on people's vibes and things like that. And so like I love his interactions with that. But other than that, it was okay. I mean, Abby, I didn't get a lot of like the sleuthing by her. Usually in Cozy Mysteries, we get the main character, the amateur sleuth, like getting way more involved and way more in trouble. I didn't get that from this. I think 3 might be a little generous. I don't know. Like I enjoyed it. It was okay. I'm not going to pick up the rest. It just wasn't what I thought. So I think for this time around, 3 stars for both books. Not too bad. Well, that is it for this round of Unstuff Your TBR. I very much so want to hear all your thoughts on West with Giraffes, if you read it, if you felt the same way I did. Also, is there anybody who has done these word search cozy mysteries? What do you think of them? I'd also like to hear that as well. Go check out Beccie and Lisa and Monica's vlogs for their books and what they read and what they got up to and how many books they got off their shelves. I have a feeling they did a lot better than I did this round. So make sure you go check them out. I will link all of their information down below. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And if you want to let me know that you were here, but you're a little too shy to comment, then just leave me an emoji with your favorite color down in the comments. Well, that's all I have for now. Bye.